In this section, we're going to talk about percent yield. This is where you compare the amount produced in the lab to that which should be theoretically produced by stoichiometric calculations. Here's a very simple example of percent yield. Imagine we had a theoretical yield because of stoichiometry, where we had 4 blue circles adding to 2 red squares, and they make them 2 molecules of each having 2 blue circles and 1 red square. You can see stoichiometrically everything should be used and it should be perfect. But in the actual part, or the observed part in the lab, we only produced one of those molecules. You see, we only produced 50% of what we should have produced theoretically. That would give us a 50% yield. Here's a typical percent yield problem. If we start out with 5 grams of silver nitrate, and it's added to an excess of potassium chromate in the lab, if only 45.5 grams of silver chromate is isolated in the lab, what's the percent yield of the reaction? Well, in order to figure out this percent yield, we need to find out how much silver chromate we should theoretically produce. So that's where our problem lies. So we put up 5.00 grams of silver nitrate, and we put X grams of silver chromate that we want to figure out how much we should theoretically produce. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the 5 grams of silver nitrate and divide it by its molar mass to get the moles of silver nitrate. It ends up being 0.0294 moles. According to the stoichiometric ratio, it is going to be multiplied by 1/2 because there is 1 silver chromate for every 2 silver nitrates. That would give us a theoretical amount of 0.147 moles of silver chromate that we should produce. If I take those moles and multiply it times the molar mass of silver chromate, I should theoretically get 48.8 grams of silver chromate produced. That's what we call our theoretical amount. Now remember, in the lab, we only produced 45.5 grams of silver chromate. So if I take the amount that we actually observed in the lab, 45.5, and divide it by what we theoretically should have produced according to stoichiometry, multiply it by 100, it'll give us 93.2% yield. So somewhere along the lines, we've lost about 6.8% of our product.